And I'm back with video number 7 of my color wash big project, making 3 mini albums of 1 paper pad. And in this video I'm going to show you how I put together my covers. And because of the proportion I use to make our pages, our covers come up to be 7 inches by 9 inches, and the spine it's about 1.5 inches wide, and of course 9 inches tall. And this works perfectly with our 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So what I do first, I glue my spine right in the middle between these two pieces of cardstock, and I'm not worried about the seam shown because I'll probably kind of cover that with decorative paper. And then as you can see, my pages fit perfectly, leaving me enough margin both sides top to bottom to fold and create a nice cover. I'm gonna go ahead, glue my covers, fold everything together, and be back with a finished project. So after I make sure my panels are completely glued to my cardstock, I miter the corners. What I do, I cut a slight of an angle and then make sure there's a little bit left. I don't go too close to the edge there, so I can have a nice corner when it's all folded. I use my bone folder to score a little bit so it makes it easier to fold. I don't have much left over. Maybe if I would have used a 12 by 12, these flaps would have been a bit bigger and it'd be easier to fold. But if you want to use what you have on hand and you don't have 12 by 12 cardstock, this works out pretty good. Maybe if you use a thicker cardstock, you might have some problem making these folds, but with this one it works just perfectly fine. So I fold her around, I pay attention at my corners, make sure they fold neatly so I end up with a clean corner right there, like that. I'm gonna apply some glue, let it set, and I'll show you what I'll do next. And our covers are finished. The paper that would cover them is glued together, and I try to make sure my paper is stretched so it can bend. And you can see what happens if you're not careful, especially if you're using a bone folder that had formed a sharp edge. You can cut right through it, so be very careful when you do this. Then I try to fold it, make sure that my pages align, and for most part they are okay. I use the cardboard I use, it's from shipping boxes. It's just because I have so much of it, and I don't know what else to do with it except recycling it, and it works pretty well. Sometimes if you have a really strong bend, it might affect the integrity of your page, but I try to pick pieces that are pretty much intact. The cardstock is thick enough that you can mask any imperfections. So this is how the cover looks like front and back, and you can decide up and down, it doesn't really matter at this point. What you can do next is cover the insides, and I know I'm going to decorate my panels with decorative paper, and all I want to do is use one sheet of the 8.5 by 11, and I'm going to cut it at 8 3/4 on this 11th side to cover the spine section. And I'm not worried at this point about this cardboard showing because it's going to get covered with panels I cut out from the paper I saved. I'm going to do my cut and come back with a finished product and show you how I attach my binding to the spine. And my spine covered is attached. And while I was working on it, I remember I always had a problem if I glue it all together. It tends to buckle, especially in the middle, and kind of looks a little wrinkly, and I didn't quite like that look. So what I want to experiment, and this may work or may not, is to have these flaps kind of move in and out as you close the pages of your album. So you can see right here on the side, there's a little bit of a movement. And what I decided to do is cut my panels for the back and front cover, and I cut my paper at 8 7/8 and 6 3/4. I did the same thing for the front, and what I'm gonna do is glue this cover paper on this side all around and to this panel, leaving about 1/2 inch or probably even more for this paper to move in and out under my panels. I'm gonna try it and come back to show you what I got. This is a snapshot of how I apply the glue. So I try to put a little bit on this side, making sure it doesn't reach my flap. So same thing at the top, and then leaving a margin here without the glue. So that will be the space this flap is gonna move in and out. I'm gonna attach my panel, make sure it's attached all around, and I'll be back. And this is how our covers for our album look like, and I'm very happy with my idea. You can see when it bends, it doesn't buckle anywhere, the paper is moving. Of course, you can use tie back or fabric, or there's other methods to make this spine, but I only happen to have cardstock on hand, so I'm using what I got. I went ahead and inked the bending areas with my gold, Galaxy Gold. I did the same thing for the covers. So now the only thing I need for the outside of my cover is to decorate, which is going to be probably in my future video. And what I'm going to do is attach my set of papers to the spine. So the way to do this, because I have 3 sets, it's pretty easy. I'm going to align the middle set to my line right here where my 2 papers met. I made sure they were in the center. And I'm gonna leave probably 1/8 of an inch to make sure I have enough spacing at the bottom, same as at the top. Or you can measure, you can do some fine markings, but I tend to eyeball things. So with this binding, because it's a set of 3 and I have this line that it's right there in the middle of my spine, I think it's going to be a pretty easy matchup. I'm going to put some glue, hold it in place, and come back. And our mini album is closer to completion. I would say we're about halfway there. We have the covers, we have the spine, we have the pages attached, and I'm very happy how it turned out. We have to decorate this page and do a little bit more with this one, and we have the insides. And we're gonna make some cards for this pocket. Also, this pages with the gussets need some more paper. This panel, again, some cards. Another one. This looks almost finished to me. All I need is some photo mat and maybe 1 or 2 embellishments. And then the last page and the back. So thank you for staying tuned with me. Check later to see how I'm doing. Bye.